a reminder for this. So next Tuesday is our first task force meeting. It's by invitation if you want to participate. You don't have to. We did use that TSSA money to fund for that. So if you're interested in being part of it. When it is a contract time, within contract time, you need to be there in that task force. If it's a training or a task force meeting, like on that second Tuesday, where you'll meet with your task force and continue and further that work, then that is by invitation if you want to be part of that.
I just want to clarify, when he says it's by invitation, it's totally voluntary. So
That's the correct word, voluntary.
Voluntary.
You're all invited.
You're all invited. You're not going to receive an email saying you're invited to attend. If your task force has decided to have a meeting next Tuesday and you want to attend that meeting with your task force, you're welcome, and it's voluntary, and you will be paid through the TSSA money. So.
Correct. Thank you for the clarification. Yes?
Did you mention something about signing up for these meetings? Is there somewhere we need to make sure that...
So tomorrow or next Tuesday, all the task force leaders will have a form, and they will share what that form is, and that's where you'll sign up or sign on for participation. All right. Our first SEL task force, we're going to push that back until next month. So we are now going to have Mr. Fuller come up and talk to us about the Extensions Task Force.
Mr. Fuller yields his time to Ms. Funk and Ms. Fukuda.
Hi.
Lindsay.
We have a visual aid in the form of a PowerPoint for you. This is my first announcement in a meeting. Please be nice. I'm scared. You got it. Okay. So we're part of the AA task force, also known as Academic Achievement. Okay, go ahead and move to the next slide. So what we're planning on doing for our task force, or one of the things we're focusing on, of course, is extensions. And what we talked about in our task force is to have our students here at Granger put together a Lancer portfolio. And it's a portfolio of their work that they can keep together on their Google Drive. The English teachers already require students to create and maintain a portfolio. Every student will have a folder in their portfolio for each class they have taken at Granger High School. And inside each folder, they'll hopefully put together one signature assignment for each of their classes. And then when they apply for graduation, they will show one of their teachers their portfolio that they've put together. And it'll be something that will be signed off by the teacher that they talk to. The idea of this portfolio, it's not to keep students from graduating for not having a portfolio, but Dr. Dunn and us as a task force have proposed having cords at graduation for those who have completed a portfolio upon graduation. So you can go ahead and move to the next slide. So why are we doing this portfolio business? Well, for one, it's a place for students to be able to review the work they've done here at Granger High School, to be able to look back, see all of the wonderful things they've learned, have the examples they need for being able to apply that to future things that they're doing past high school. They can store their personal essays, extracurricular works, special things that they have completed that may be helpful for their college applications and beyond. And finally, Salt Lake Community College requires students to create a portfolio for their graduation. So this Lancer portfolio will help them prepare for that expectation that they'll have if they go to SLIC. Yes.
Oh, sorry to get interested. How long after graduation is this accessible to them?
So
My seniors lost their Google Drive last year, or last week. So it lasted through the summer this time. But it's not always that long, sometimes it's only a couple of days.
So what we'll need to do is,
The Monday after graduation.
part of the portfolio process after they've had it checked off is they'll need to make sure to go ahead and sometime around that time transfer everything so they have it saved as well outside of their Google Drive. Okay?
Just share it.
So what we need from you guys is that each teacher will have to decide one of the assignments that they already do for their classes that they would like the students to include as a signature assignment of their portfolio. And it'll be for each semester, preferably. Yes?
Can we make an option out of that for certain students that have different learning?
Yes. So what will go in the portfolio for your particular class that you're in charge of is completely up to you to decide. Whatever requirements you want them to have, whatever you want them to have as a demonstration of what they've been learning in your class is up to you. And that's it. Again, you can use assignments you already have. There's no requirement to go out of your way to make something extra special. And of course, it would be good for departments and the PLCs to discuss what assignments they want to use and what would work well together for that. So basically, we don't want to give you guys extra work to do. We're just hoping that this will be a very easy way for you and your students to complete. And again, does anyone have any final questions about this portfolio biz we're talking about? Sorry for reading a PowerPoint to you. Yes?
Sorry, may I share a comment?
Yes.
So, for Dixie State University and Southern Utah University for first year students,
Yeah.
they're required to kind of have a portfolio. So I think this is essential.
Oh,
If
awesome.
they decide to continue on south, this is something that would benefit for them as well.
Two more reasons why it's a great idea. And where? Weber State. Oh, snap. Yes.
Do they need to have something in every folder to qualify for the core?
That is a good question.
I'm just wondering how, like balloons should get put in a grade change.
So we were thinking, hey, take pictures of what you're doing, extracurriculars can have stuff go in there as well. Upload videos of things that you need to, any kind of evidence that they can have of this assignment or their completing assignment.
Yeah. But we'll probably put together like a form or something that teachers will be able to use to be able to check off to see if they've met the requirements for their portfolio. Yes.
One thing Slick does is the students sometimes get to choose their own signature assignment, so that might be an option for your class as well if you have a lot. The students choose one and they write a little blurb about why they chose that in a reflection piece, so that could be an option as well.
That is a fantastic idea. I think that's great because there might be an assignment that they do that actually sticks out more to them than any of the others, and it'll be more to them to have that in their portfolio. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
So, like, who would I communicate what my assignment that I want them to put in their portfolio?
That is a good question.
Does that make sense? Sorry?
Your students.
Right, so, but like, so I'm not super tech savvy. Like, my concern is that I'd say, put this in your portfolio, and they'd go, what? And then the expectation, then I'd like walk them through and how to create it. Is it already set up for them? Like, that's kind of my question.
We have all our ninth
Yeah.
grade English teachers set up portfolios for our students.
Okay.
So it should already be set up.
Okay.
It might be walking through, pointing them out where it is, saying, hey guys, you know that portfolio you made in English? Let's make a folder for my class.
Where is the portfolio?
Their
Google Drive. Okay, so if they go into their Google Drive, the portfolio should already be there.
They'll probably just open up the portfolio and make a folder for your class.
Okay, okay, and then that's where they upload.
English
Thank you.
portfolio, Lancer portfolio?
We just call it their last name, first name portfolio.
Okay.
And sometimes they actually write out last name, first name.
Mine used my last name.
Good times. Any other comments, questions? Like,
All students in the building now, or just my students?
Well, we review it every year. So every year I'll say, make sure you get your
So you
portfolio.
do it for several years?
So yes.
Okay, all right.
So what we need, I guess, from you guys is just this semester, think of what you want your signature assignment to be for this semester, or have your students choose what they want to be the signature assignment, and maybe give them 10 minutes to upload it towards the end of the semester.
we good? Oh, yes, one more, yes.
There are several kids that aren't in core English classes because maybe they're receiving special ed English.
Yes.
We've never done that. So what happens to those students when they come to graduate?
well, we'll have to find the teachers who serve those students and have
Can't hear you.
we'll have to find the teachers that do serve those students and have them help them create portfolios, but we need to know who those teachers are so that we can help them.
Yeah,
All the Read 180 teachers.
okay. We will contact said teachers and help you, collaborate with you to get that happening. Any other comments?
Thank you. I was just saying thank you for
Oh, yeah.
helping us too. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Was there another one?
All right, this next part, one of the things that we continue to do is look at data of where we are as far as the school goes. And I think it's important for all of us to understand and get a good grasp of, you know, where are we doing, where are we very strong, where are we maybe a little more weak. And part of that is through your PLCs you're looking at data, but sometimes you don't see the overall picture of our entire school. So Mr. Bernard this year, he is doing so much stuff with our data, from ACT to WIDA to PLC work, loves doing data stuff. So he's kind of put together a picture of what the school looks like at this point, and then is willing to work with you through your PLCs or whatever other data you want to take a look at. We will be reviewing data regularly because I think we're usually talking about it and we're saying, you know, use the data to guide the instruction over and over. But it's also important, I think, that we see this data from a school level. So let me have you share what you put together.
Can you guys hear me without the mic? No, then I will use the mic. All right, so data is probably one of the things a lot of us don't care for very much. The manual the state has for us to look at to understand our data is a real good thing to put you to sleep. So this is a summary of what the state wants us to be looking at and what they're going to score us on as a school. And so we're looking at our school accountability report card. Now the breakdown is you're going to see 25% is going to be proficiency, 25% is going to be growth. Our English learners are about 6% for their progress. Growth of lowest 25% is 11% of our score. Our high school graduation rate is 11% as well as ACT. So putting these all together is going to give us a bigger picture of how we're doing as a school and where we need to go. Now, there are a certain number of points that our school can earn. There's 225 points in the current grading system. You may be aware that years ago, each school was assigned either an A, B, C, D, or F, just like our students do. They've actually gone away from that because they want us to look at the other measures in a different light. And so we'll talk about that in just a moment. Right now, our last scores were 97 out of 225. We definitely have a lot of room for growth in each area. And so, as I've been looking at data, one of the things that sticks out most is our EL students because they fit into 3 categories. They're going to fit into our overall group, they're going to fit into our English learners, and then they're also going to fit into our lowest 25%. Okay, so the more we learn about our kids, the more we're going to be able to better support them. Now, the new grading system is now using indicators. Okay, 5 would be exemplary, all the way down to 1, which is critical needs. At the high school level, there's 4 areas we're looking at. We're going to look at achievement, growth, English learner progress, and then post-secondary readiness. Okay, so we're looking at the EP and concurrent enrollment courses. Okay, and so we'll go over each of those. This is what our current scores look like. This is from the 2017-2018 school year. As you can see, 3 of our areas are in the developing stage, and then our growth is in the typical stage. So our goal is to try to get it over to the far right as much as we can, and we do that as we improve each of these areas that it looks at. Okay? So a lot of us get to a point in the year, and the kids are asking us, well, what can we do to be better? We unfortunately cannot go back in time to make that happen. Okay? And so we got to move forward from where we're at. Kids maybe came in from another country, they don't have as much background in their schooling as everybody else, and so we have to try to get them up to that next level. Or maybe they just aren't understanding what they learned the last year and forgot over summer, which tends to happen a lot as well. So there are going to be 7 different areas that were scored on and one that's not scored on. Proficiency is looking at our state test scores, okay? So that's now going to be the Aspire Plus. Our current score is 10 out of 56. So we definitely have a lot of area for improvement here. We won't go into how to calculate it because that would be just a lot more time. Not exciting. All right, next area is growth. This is looking at the Aspire scores over several years. Obviously, this is the first year we did this last year, and so they're comparing it to the SAGE scores from before. Our current score is 20 out of 56. This next year, they'll have a better data line for us to look at because we're going to be looking at Aspire Plus versus Aspire Plus. And this is also where we're looking at the MGP scores. Okay, when you get your teacher MGP scores, we're looking at how did the student do this year and where are they at this next year and looking for growth. We have our English learner data. This is looking at the state LEDA scores. We're at 6 out of 13 on that. Definitely have a little bit of room to grow there. We have growth of the lowest 25%. So any of our kids that did not score proficient or above would be on this list. And once again, it's looking at the Aspire Plus score. So it seems there's a theme that Aspire Plus is kind of an important test, although some of us may not always feel like that. But yes, as we're preparing our kids, this is something that's going to affect how our school is doing out of the score. Now, we will have a self-reported indicators, which can be a variety of things. Each school is able to report on things that they think is important going on in their school. And so this one's not actually receiving a score that affects the overall, but in the end, it does end up just giving some information to the public as to what we're doing. Now, the post-secondary is looking at 3 things. It's looking at our ACT scores that are 18 or above. It's looking at our graduation rate over 4 years. And it's also looking at our readiness coursework, which is your AP and concurrent enrollment classes. Now, looking at the high school graduation, since it's looking at 4 years, yes, we've seen a lot of improvement over the years. We're hoping to increase that as well this year so that we can continue moving it upward, which will have a nice effect on our score there. We're also looking at the ACT scores. I know, super exciting looking at those. We are going to dig deeper into those as the year goes on. And I know we're going to be talking more about pre-ACT, which is going to take a look at some other data we're going to be able to get as well. But it's looking at scores 18 or higher. And right now our school's sitting at about a 16.9, 17 area. Last but not least, our advanced coursework is going to be looking at our CTE classes as well as concurrent enrollment and advanced placement. And the students have to earn a C or better in those classes for it to be any kind of help for us. All right, so what does all this mean? Why is it important to us? What can we do with all this information? Well, the data points we're looking at is going to be the ACT, the Aspire Plus, and the WIDA scores. We're looking at trying to improve our graduation rate. We have that goal of 3% this year. We have our AP, CTE, and concurrent enrollment class courses. So what do we improve in those? Okay, we need to work on our literacy, looking at content-specific vocabulary. We can look at reading and writing strategies. And then in our classroom culture, we can look at building positive relationships, making our class more comfortable setting for our kids. And then also looking at interventions for our kids that might need a little bit more support, kids that are ready to go above and beyond, doing some things with that. So, are there any questions? Yes?
So you mentioned the MPG, right? Got that?
MGP.
Every time. When and where can we access that?
That is a good question. Right now, the state has their data site that's getting updated. And so right now, we can't access it on the state site yet. I know the district is working on calculating those from last year, so we don't have that data currently. From talking to Mr. Abbott at the district, he says probably around October we'll start seeing some of the data from the prior year. Any other questions? Yes.
With AP, CT, concurrent enrollment, what does it mean? How did those, this is in the weeds, but how did those contribute?
So the way those ones contribute is they take a look at the number of students that took the AP, CTE, or concurrent enrollment courses, and then they're going to go in and they're going to calculate how many kids got a C or better, and the more kids they get a C or better, the better our scores going to get down. Any other questions? All right, if you have more, please send me an email. I'd love to answer any questions you guys have. Thank you.
so many aspects to data. That growth aspect is something our superintendent speaks about often, realizing that sometimes the students we get are coming at a deficit, and just by helping them grow a little bit in 1 year, not getting them to the proficient level, obviously we're working towards that, but that little bit of growth goes a long way when we're working with students. Okay, if you will flip over the agenda onto the back page, I just want to cover this quickly. Lauren Case, could you please read that first paragraph?
All 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will be expected to show up at the regular time. They will go to their regular B-Day class. Seniors will be invited to come at their regular time and be allowed to either work on homework in the commons area or in a designated classroom with a teacher who is not testing students. We will hold our annual Senior Jostens graduation meeting in the auditorium starting at 9 a.m. that morning.
Thank you. One of the things that we have as a school goal is increasing our ACT score by 1 point, which is a lot. Part of that is going through and taking a look at some of the data to make sure we understand where our students are at in terms of the ACT. So, you know ahead of time now, this is going to take a little bit of your day, but we need to do this as an entire school. We have scheduled a pre-ACT for October 1st. One of the things we had feedback on from our leadership group is that we still wanted to have all of our students, you still wanted to meet with all of the students that day. So, the pre-ACT test, one Lauren just read, 9th, 10th, and 11th. This is not as high stakes test as when we do the ACT. When we do that ACT, it's the security and everything is a lot more high stakes test. We have to have the right kid in the right place at the right time. This is more of, we're going to give all these kids the pre-ACT. They're taking the same test, all right? They're going to get, we've already ordered all the booklets. Mr. Schaefer ordered 2,500 booklets today from ACT. This is written, it is not yet electronic. So we don't like that as much, but there's nothing we can do about it at this point. ACT is looking into the pre-ACT. Eventually, it'll be electronic. But this is information for you to kind of start planning and preparing for. When they come in on that day, they will be in your regular class. All right? We're not sending them out unless they are a student who's a level 1 or level 2 English language learner. If that's the case, we will arrange, and we've got about a month to arrange where we're going to have them, because those students need more extended time. But they will come into your class, they will have a booklet, you will have a booklet, the booklet we get to keep. You have to put their name on the booklet, we do not return the booklet. They will also have a bubble sheet, that's where they're going to fill out their answers. The week prior, if you go down to the very bottom there, on the very bottom it says, on September 24th, students will complete the non-cognitive part of the test in their first period. This should take about 50 minutes. Instruction for taking the test should also be done on this day. The non-cognitive part is the data that we collect on students trying to identify what their interests are. Some kid, our presenter, Stephanie Lewis, who was here last time, talked a little bit about her experience with her own child. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's something like, you know, I want to be an accountant. If the student says, I want to be an accountant, but they hate math, they struggle with math, they don't want anything to do with math, that helps them identify that maybe they don't need to go into the area of accounting. So that non-cognitive is just information that they're filling out about themselves as far as what interest they might have. That information will come back to them. It'll also come back to counselors, so when counselors sit down with them and say, hey, this is what your results say, how are we doing? Are you still interested in going down that road? So that's done the week before, and I get it, we're trying to balance some time here. That's about a 50-minute. On the day of the test, we'll start at 7:30. There'll be a break between 8:35 and 8:45. Then, after the 8:45, we'll go from 8:45 until 9:50. Once we're finished with that, they will then go to their first period class, which is 40 minutes long. Those of you who have GTI students will probably have to release them prior to that 10:40 time. They already know about what time they're supposed to be excused, so you'll release them so that they can have lunch and go to GTI. Second period is as such. Lunch will be one lunch that day. One lunch for an hour and 11 minutes? We worked on this schedule over and over to try to make sure we could accommodate students, accommodate your schedule as well. So that'll be a one long, big hour lunch. If you have extra time after you eat your lunch, you're welcome to come down to the cafeteria and help us with crowd control. Third period will be as such, and then fourth period will be as such. Yes?
So, I'm sure you've thought about this, but there are several of us that don't have a classroom. We have students in the gym or in the dance room. Where will you
We have thought of that, and we're going to work on that through the next couple of weeks. Because there might be a teacher that, say I have seniors, but I don't have seniors that period, but then somebody else is already in my classroom. So we're going to have to try to get through that, especially when we have to do extensions for the students that need that extended time. We're probably going to keep them through the 10 to 10:40 time that first period. Anyway, we're working through this. I will tell you, as a goal, as we put this as pre-ACT, the investment in this is pretty substantial. To test all these kids through the pre-ACT and to get all this data back, we're investing about $35,000 from our TSSA money. So that is good data that we'll get back that will identify and help us know where are some of our kids struggling, where are they excelling at. And that'll be data that on our SNAD day, hopefully we'll have all that information back to share so that we can start taking a look at it. So we're serious about moving 1 point on the ACT. It requires all of us being part of this. Okay? Any questions about the schedule? Yes?
Does that mean their first period is, like, they go to their first period class?
They go to their first period class. So some of them, after they finish taking the test, they'll have that 10-minute break, but they'll probably be right back in your class. All right? We'll work through this. Promise you we'll work through it. And we're trying to get a sense of how it'll be in preparation for when we do the ACT with just the juniors in the spring. Yes? No. Just the pre-ACT part. All right. If there is nothing else, thank you. A wonderful afternoon.